All right, let's get into the last days of the church and the millennial clock that is before us all, and tie some things together for us so we can understand the day and hour that it is, because I've heard these preachers and pastors and such repeat stuff from the 1800s basically. And it's just parrots locked in a cage, and they're looking for this over here, or God with Jesus on the right side in heaven, over here somewhere else, coming in the clouds with dead people rising up out of the ground. Just the craziest sci-fi movie ever kind of created, all coming together in our world as they're magically taken out and all these different things. Okay, so while they're teaching all these things, just Jesus telling you that heaven is in you. Okay, you don't die and go to heaven. You are born again and again and again. And they take being born again, they take salvation, and they twist it and turn it on you to where you have to ask for salvation. You have to go into this building and you have to do what this man tells you. You have to become a sin worshiper, basically. You start to become a moon. Sin is part of the moon god, where you are reflecting that man's light, that begotten Son, who's put forth you, rules, boundaries, and limitations, who connects you to the Lord God, who takes you to the garden for the Adam and the Eve connects you to the evening, to the darkness, who has access to the tree of life, who can go to the good and the evil, and you become as God, and you get the full light, because you can go through the day and the night, and you can come in this world and out of this world. Okay, and the sun is just this light over here, and all this stuff is within us. So as the heaven is within us, the kingdom of God is at hand. Heaven is likened into a net. All these things are playing out in this world, and it's all being shown to you by this motion picture given life, and it's all been ran away with through the so-called truther community. And they're given this motion picture, given life in different ways, and they run away down these trails to this delusion created for them, to show them the 666 and mark them by the evil, to where they can't access that, and they have to stay in that industry and that old tree that's going to be chopped down by the Elon, and it's not getting light of the new side, or it doesn't understand the system that we live in with the eclipse, or it's like the first time. It's kind of like with the global, the gathering, the global and the world ID system and the mothership and all those things coming in. We're either coming into that so-called alienhood and going into that mothership, being raptured up into that kind of thing, or we're staying behind and becoming the monkey men, to where it's like the aliens are coming in a backwards fashion. It's the aliens and mothership coming down to the monkeys and giving them the knowledge they've had, and then they get the smart meter. Through the smart meter and the internet, they gather the intelligence, and they get rid of the phones and the window into heaven and those types of things, and then they go into that so-called age of Satan, where everything's bagged, and then the printing press and all those things that we've gotten into long back, connecting all these things. But this is where you're going into that age from the Jesus to the Satan, where we're told about in Revelation, where the new heaven and earth are given, the reign, millennial reign is given, and then you have the age of Satan come again. So we have the millennials born, we have the millennium started, we have the alpha generation going. I am the alpha and the omega. So we can start to see a time spans on some things going on here as far as the Jesus returning in us to get to that full God man. Okay. we're all this like fragment of light of God, and we're dispersed out, and it's being gathered back in as the conscience is gathered and collected, and that's where we're at, is this crunch of time, and that's where the alien invasion has come in and done this. Okay, so that would be taking us back to where people are scared of these things, and it gets to where that people aren't scared of those things, and it gets into like a new type of frequency, like looking backwards. Okay, you got to have the ability to look backwards, kind of understand these things, because when the dragon comes into this world right now, that's the drugs and such. We see these things in the backside, in the cocaine and the Coca-Cola, 1929, Marijuana Tax Act, 1937, the last opium den, which is China, right? That's 1957, and then you have the fentanyl and all that stuff with China. So this is where like the different cartels for the incarnation of Christ and all those different layers overlap on one side, and then you have the incarnation of Christ as far as the AI and the computer and the car on another side. And also that cocaine is part of that Cain killing Abel, and then Cain being cast as the vagabond, and those types of things back in the day. So this is kind of a collapse of time since that time frame, and to where we're starting the birth of a new, but it's gathering up that day 7 also. And as it gathers up to day 7, that's where the so-called Jesus/Satan gives birth in the people or whatever, and then it brings them further into bondage as they lift up the hardness in their hearts. And this is where you see like the MAGA, that Christian nationalism rising up and stuff. So 2000, 24 hours on a clock, the Mayan prophecy 2012, all right, that's kind of a clock start down, okay? And that's the my end prophecy for the Antichrist, for the things that came with those things, for the RNA, which is the messenger of light, for the DNA. So the light's been taken out or changed and transferred, for that transformation, for that transportals that are coming upon the earth, for that multi-planetary alignment, for the parallel universes. Okay, so then you see the 4 blood moons, 2014, 2015. Now, these blood moons are connected. They tell you the moon and all these things alignment. That's one projection of everybody rotating around the sun. So the so-called begotten sun, the government, the church, the schools, the hospital, those types of things where you're going to seek salvation and seek the self-preservation, because the whole reason people want to go and do the whole church thing or whatever, because they're being told they're going to burn for eternity, and they become a child of that child of that flame, and they start living by the rules and structures of that flame. Even though they say that it's all been washed away or whatever, they still have to go into the box. Okay. So the eclipse, the way when you go out and sun gaze at the morning or evening or whatever, you see the sun as like an electrical ball, and we're electrical beings, and we're light, and all these things that we've gotten into the past, breaking these things down. So putting all this together, there's a dark sun or dark suns, all right? And the 4 blood moons can be like a transfer from one dark sun to another type of dark sun. That's where we're going from like one Satan structure, and then the Jesus figures, and then the kings put on the earth, the Antichrist to the so-called church, because they're coming to change the church structure and take us from one time to another time, those types of things. So that's where you get this so-called Satan structure, so-called Satan structure, dark sun, and then the light, and then the creation is light, and then darkness is transformation. So that's where we're going from one time to another time, and we're going from one America to another America, but we have to have these dark suns come in to change the light. That's where Elon Musk is coming in, and you have Barron for the barren womb, and he's doing the crypto stuff over here. The Doge is doing the crypto here, and Trump's doing the crypto here. All those little different overlays. The woman clothed in the sun, 2017, 2 years after the 2014, 2015. Then the 2020 Corona, that's the dark sun. And the crowning of the king and the birth. And then Obama was a dark sun during this overlap. So this is all part of a time stamp as the end times and New Age and all these things overlap, and it's all setting up to where there would be a global switch, and they have already talked about the Great Reset and all these things they're talking about in history. So it's just a matter of putting all these things together as that motion picture is given life, and you're so-called given these lights, pastors and such that are programming you stuff from the late 1800s or whatever, and they will never see and hear or whatever, because if they do, they basically have to close their doors or admit they were wrong and let you start wearing what you want to wear and all kinds of things that will just release all hell in the church. Oh, burn! Anyways, it's pretty good stuff, y'all, dude, because this has all been like ingrained in them, and that's where they're all part of those terrors and tears for those flood waters and such is coming when that wheat for the 8 and above for the woman clothed in the sun, connecting us to that infinity machine. And then I look and go, what you talking about, Willis? As you put your eyes up to the 8, the figure 8. Those two peepholes. You can get that donkey show, full blast, and then all of a sudden you get poked in the eye with Elon and Don's nuts and stuff. The old Virgin Mary, that's a whole nother one. His little niecey. And the knee is the NY for the New York, where Don shines his light, and his light shines on New York, and then it shines on you through that Tao, through that God of money. Okay, so that man knee, where you're created after him in his image, and that dawn shines his light upon your soul, and there's been a consul born in this nation, and the con is connected to the lie, which is connected to the washing and those new suds that's been there, and the people aren't in part of that new water and that new washing tin, as the Tin Man comes and takes her heart and chops them down as a door to the heaven, and the Dorothy and the tutu and the totules comes together. Told those tills, the old tornado's coming, we ain't in Kansas anymore. But yeah, those bricks, they're all there getting laid upon you, and you're just part of that black and white picture show gonna be thrown into that rainbow. Alright, and the rainbow's been voted on by the Christ session in the right hand as you gone and worship the dawn of time, his name and numbers, message in his way, MAGA, 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 MAGA. And you lost a game on the backside.